Life is too short to learn from your own mistakes, so learn from others. Unknown. On today's episode, I'm bringing you more of my conversation with Stephen Yates. Stick around to hear about the $200,000 mistake he made and how you can avoid doing the same. Welcome to the Stitch for Success podcast. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, daughter, entrepreneur, author, friend, and lifelong learner. For over 8 years, I was trapped in corporate America and dreamed of escaping. I took the leap over 15 years ago, retiring from corporate. With just $700 and an idea, over the years we have grown multiple six-figure and seven-figure brands. I have mentored and employed dozens of other people along the way. The road has not been easy. I have battle wounds, bruises, and scars to prove it. And on this podcast, I share lessons learned from my failures and successes. You will also learn from other business owners who have become stitched for success as they pursue their entrepreneurial passions. My goal and hope for you is that you can learn from our mistakes and our wins and have an extremely successful business that stands the test of time. If you had an opportunity to listen to episode 30, then you already know Stephen Yates. But if you have not listened to that episode, I definitely encourage you to do so. Stephen is one to admire because he's willing to share his mistakes and he wants others to learn from them. I met Stephen when he came into our store. I have also gotten to know him better when he gave me the opportunity to speak at a nonprofit he teaches at called Project Restart ATL. This nonprofit helps former incarcerated individuals launch their own businesses. He teaches and provides them with learning experiences to help grow their businesses. In this part of our conversation, Stephen shares with us a very costly mistake that he made, and he wants to make sure other entrepreneurs avoid.
I can go through and highlight a learning experience that was extremely embarrassing for me. And I'm going to highlight it. I got to the point where I had to turn it into a strength. The embarrassment, I had to turn into a strength and realize that I didn't go through that because of me. I went through all that to make sure that all my clients never go through what I went through. And so me explaining what I went through, no matter how embarrassing it was, it allowed people to say, aha moment, oh my goodness, I'm never going to do what he did. So here's the thing. In my import-export business, I started doing some work for a company I used to work for, but I didn't want to do the work. So because of my close affinity to the company. So what I did was I had a friend of mine who was living in Chicago. I had him provide security books to the security company I used to work for. And so I knew where they would actually, who they buy their security books from. So I wanted to do a discount. All right. I wanted to compete with the book company. So I had a guy named Ronnie. I had Ronnie work that contract. Ronnie worked that contract. Here's what I'm going to give you for working that contract, but I don't want to touch it because I used to be affiliated with them. I don't want to have kind of a bad thing with them. So Ronnie worked it for 3 years. What I didn't know was that Ronnie had cancer, and he didn't tell me or a lot of folks that he had gotten cancer. So for a whole year, he stopped running that contract, which is okay because I'm doing other things. That was his, almost like that's your contract. You want to make money, work that contract. So Ronnie ended up passing away.
Oh no.
But he had all of and he's a great friend of mine. I bring rest in peace. But he had all the documents, all the paperwork affiliated with that contract, the memos from, American Express payments or all of the FedEx documents for books being dropped off or whatever. He had everything. So that company did an audit and they realized that who is Heroes International Training? Well, all the other regions is buying their books from this company over here, B&G Books or whatever. Only our region is buying from Heroes. Who is Heroes? So they, again, me not knowing, they did their research and they found out, when they pull up Heroes International, who's the owner and whatever, everything is open in Georgia. They realized, who is Steve Yates? Oh, Steve Yates used to work for us. Is he really delivering this stuff? So now they try to get in contact with me, but the number that they're getting was in Chicago from the invoices they got. But they call in Chicago, and guess what? Ronnie is dead.
Right.
So then all of a sudden I get a call saying, "Hey, we don't believe that you guys have ever sent us anything. So there's $200,000 in books that we never got. You owe us $200,000." So
Wow.
now I'm like, we don't owe you anything, right? So
Right.
I contact Rondi's wife and she says, "Steve, unfortunately, I shut down all of Rondi's businesses when he died. Stephen, I realized that I now have breast cancer. I destroyed all of Rondi's notes and books because I shut down his company. And now I'm dealing with my own mortality, and that's the only thing I'm concentrating on. And I don't have anything. So now I can't get upset with her because she got cancer, right? Right? I
Right.
can't, right? I just hung up. I haven't talked to her anymore since then. That was years ago. So, but now I'm stuck because I'm being accused of taking $200,000. What am I gonna do?
Right.
I don't have $200,000 like that. I mean, we didn't make $200,000. We made pennies off each book, right? Because I was competing.
Right.
I just really wanted the business. I wanted to have volume, right? And I wanted to leverage that contract to get other contracts. So they said, okay, well, we're going to prosecute you because we're a $5 billion company if you don't give us our $200,000 back or show us proof. So now I got to lawyer up. So now I got to pay this lawyer $15,000 just to look into it. Give me advice on how can I get around it if I don't have any documentation. I
Right.
can certainly contact FedEx or whomever, but they were dealing with Rondi. So what you do? I went to Las Vegas, which is where I had a house. I used to be with the Thunderbird team on the Air Force, living in Vegas. So I bought a house before I connected with that company. That company promoted me and moved me to Atlanta. So I had a house out there that I was renting out. Well, that rental stopped. And I sold that house. And we made about $50,000 off that house. If I would have kept the house another 2 years, I would have made $100,000. I would have doubled it, but it was gone. So I took that $50,000 and I gave them a good faith offering on that 200. So now I still owe 150. They went to the judge. We made a deal, did a mediation and said, hey, pay this amount every month until it's done. Otherwise, we'll bring it back like you didn't pay for nothing, and we just do a criminal prosecution. What do you do? So I had to go and look at my wife and look at my two little babies, my two little girls, nervous, saying, look, here's what happened. I didn't steal anything. I need you
Right.
to believe me. Because she's looking at me like, what happened? Why do we got to sell us
Right.
that house? And what about our future? And so it's a lot of business is personal. There's a lot of stuff that can happen if you don't do it right.
Yes,
And I
this
was
is true.
naive. So I'm looking at this judge. I'm looking at the prospects of being a black man under 30 years old. Well, a little bit over 30 at the time, maybe like 32, 33, and trying to think, should I fight the good fight and prove that I didn't take $200,000? I'm 32 years old, running these businesses. Should I fight the good fight and take the chance of them changing it to a criminal prosecution and send me to jail for 10 years in prison?
Mm.
And I never get a chance to grow up with my kids. I never, I'm in jail and saying I'm innocent. I'm innocent, but y'all do right. Sometimes things not gonna happen the way you expect them to happen. Or do I bite the bullet and say, it's just money? Stephen, it's just money. Get out. It's just money. If you're meant to be an entrepreneur, you're meant to do this. And this is one of the ups and downs. Can you make it
Yeah.
out of this? Do you have the support system? Whether they believe you or not, do you have the support system to make it out of this? Because all you got is your own integrity. No matter if nobody realizes or believe you, you believe you. You know what happened. And you don't have to
Right.
fight all day long to say, please believe me. At the end of the day, it's just money. That's all they want is money. So I'll give you money. It's free money. You got the books. You got $200,000 worth of books. Now you're about to get I paid for your books. It's going to take me some time. Just work with me.
Right.
But that's what I did. I tell that story and I say, now, is anybody in this room, if I'm talking to my class, is anybody in this room going to let anybody handle your paperwork? Is anybody in this room going to allow somebody to work with your documents and you don't know where they are? No, because nobody want to
Mm.
feel the anxiety, have your stomach bubbling up. You go into the bathroom every 5 minutes. You don't know what the future is. You don't know how people think about you. Nobody want to feel that, right? But if you go through the storm and you adjust your thinking, there's a rainbow to be had. There's a lesson to learn. There's somebody who's going to embrace your lesson because it wasn't for you. It was for the listeners out there. Somebody out there is listening saying, you know what? I almost gave my paperwork to somebody else. I almost trusted someone so much where I didn't even know what was going on in my business. It is not anybody else's responsibility about us knowing what's going on in our business.
Right.
That was embarrassing for me to be teaching business and for me to have that lesson. But then I started realizing, Stephen, everything about your business life is not about you. You may think it is, but it's not. There's somebody who need to learn your business lessons, your successes and your challenges. Somebody out there need to lead it. Listen. Yeah. And Monica creates a podcast just so you can tell this story, because now so many more people know your story than just the 10, 50 people in your classroom. So many people have just learned about that. So that's your offering to those new and mature entrepreneurs out there. That it may seem like a very mundane thing to say, yeah, you're going to keep your paperwork. But when you start thinking about your paperwork, because not having it could send you to jail for 10 years and not allow you to grow up with your kid, right? I could have been coming out. My kids are now 15 and 16 or 17 years old. I did 10 years in prison and they don't know me. I'm like a cousin. They don't see. Right. I couldn't teach them anything, right? So you're balancing life when you're looking at business. You're balancing things. And when you're balancing, you want to come out and let the lesson be something that's something that you learned, that you can embrace and value, and it's something you can share with others.
I really appreciate Stephen sharing this story with us. The documents that you sign and contracts of service you establish are important to keep record of. Do not throw them away. Or even if you do, be sure to scan or take a photo of them and save them. I have found on a few occasions myself that pulling out an old document has come in handy. Thank you so much for listening to the Stitch for Success podcast. I'm so happy that you chose to listen today. If you have not already, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. This helps the podcast continue to grow and hopefully make a difference. If you want to continue any part of this conversation, please email me at stitchforsuccess@gmail.com, or you can direct message me on Instagram at stitchforsuccess. I would love if you would follow me on Instagram as well. I post inspirational quotes, and I also enjoy sharing some of the creative projects we're working on. Lastly, if you are interested in a complimentary coaching session, please visit stitchforsuccess.com and click at the top of the page to complete the form to sign up. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great one.